everybody. I'm so happy to be here with you. I know I get very few views, but I hope they'll pick up soon when people realize how important this is. The power of art and the power of creativity. Just imagine if God had said, I can't even draw a stick figure. Neither you or this beautiful world around you would exist. You are the direct offspring of Creator. Imagine if all your creative neurons were firing on all cylinders and you were able to apply your creativity to every aspect of your life. I promise you, your life would suddenly become a lot more interesting. Your creative mind can conjure ways out of any difficult maze. Your creative self can stop negative thoughts in their tracks, back up and peel out into a landscape of freedom from fear and anxiety. Your thoughts can heal you and make a gloomy day infused now with the sunshine of creative thought that then turns to positive action. I'm sure there are many ways to reignite creativity, but the surefire way to jumpstart those limp neurons is to create art. It's such a simple thing to do. I'm not just talking about throwing down a canvas and randomly splashing paint at it in the hopes that it will look good and everyone will think, wow, what a creative genius you are. I'm talking about studying art in its simplicity, in order to propel you forward into the true realm of creativity that can be applied to your life and bring an all-around positive change to everything you do. Because art teaches us to think critically in a very natural way, because the laws of the universe are in play when you're painting and creating. Nature itself is made up of ecosystems. And if one element of this delicate balance is destroyed, the entire ecosystem collapses. Right now we have a human ecosystem that's on the verge of collapse because I believe we've lost contact with our creative selves that can think our way out of any situation, that can think critically, etc., etc. So let's start with evolution and adaptation in plants. It starts with a seed that grows and slowly develops into its final presentation to the world. And that could be a peony, a rose, a baobab tree. It has to start with that seed. It all must start somewhere in order to reveal the essence of that seed within. So just as we would pick up a pencil and begin to draw, we are slowly revealing the unique creative lines that come from within the fabric of our very soul. It's almost like a fingerprint. It's just different for everybody. And that is your unique self expressing itself. So it's really easy. You just start by doodling and observe the patterns that reveal themselves in the lines that you draw. And you'll see the seeds of your unique originality begin to appear right before your eyes. You haven't copied anything. You haven't drawn inspiration from any exterior element that has influenced you. And the lines you are drawing are representing your true spirit coming out from within, however simple they may be, because we do too much of taking in instead of putting out. So now the next step is you have to learn to draw correct. Gulp. This isn't a talent thing. It can be easily learned. Just like remote viewers, it seems that's impossible, but it can be learned. And the reason that you have to study all 10 critical components of art is so that you can deviate from them and hold your own when those jurors come sniffing around with their personal opinions of whether your art is good or not. You can stand in your big sovereign art boots and describe your art confidently. You are a true student of art now, because you took the time to study the basics. Now, all these 10 critical components, I need to state what they are, maybe for the 100th time in my videos, but you should know them off by heart. They are drawing, anatomy, perspective, care of your art tools, very important, brushes, color, composition, light and shadow, most importantly, inspiration methods, and then finally facing that blank canvas, whether it's a linen canvas or a piece of paper or a board up somewhere. That's your canvas. And I want to say here that my book, Splat, teaches you all these simple steps. And I'll leave a link at the end of the video so that you can, or down below, so that you can find it. Let's go back to the seed analogy. Okay, the genes in the artist's seed must comprise each element of the basics of art in order to flourish. Those are its nutrients. And the surprise gene is always your unique ability of expression when your seed of creativity flowers. And everybody is born a creative genius. As they live their boring, mundane lives, it starts going downhill very fast. So after you've studied the proportions of the human body, which is a lot simpler than you think, you can then cheerfully deviate from the rules in order to enhance the expression of the humans you wish to convey. It's like I like to do little tiny heads and long thin bodies because I like a lot of movement. So it's up to you, but you need to know the basics from where you are deviating from. Then looking at perspective, an overview of studying the dynamics of perspective infuses a natural understanding of perspective into your art as you create. Once you've studied the basics of perspective, you can never unlearn it. It just gets into your bones somehow. And perspective naturally adds a dynamic to your art that was never there before. And by adding multiple perspectives to a flat plane, a level of drama appears that makes people look twice at your art. And then there's the composition gene in the art seed, which teaches us to create balance and harmony on a canvas, or purposeful erraticism, if you like. If you want chaos, paint that. If you're getting your yah-yahs out and you need that chaotic dynamic, that's your choice. It's still a part of composition. And so it goes on through all 10 basic steps of growth, applying and deviating in order to coax your original creativity out from within. Okay, now you're going to ask yourself, why go to all this trouble just to fire up a few creative neurons? Well, the reason is that the world around us is changing fast and we have to be ready. It may not look like it now, but we are in the last throes of a failing, unsustainable, and destructive way of being in the world. The powers that be, or were, as some say, are trying to determine for us the way forward out of this mess. But ultimately, it will be up to us, and we'll need our creativity. We need to be armed with our creativity. Humanity must move away from being fed from without and begin creating from within in order to heal our world ourselves. We act like we have no creative power, and when we have so much, because we are the offspring of source. Another thing looming on the horizon is that there's much talk of the robotization, robotization, of humans, which requires the introduction of robots, robots, and robots, 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 robo biopolymers and nanotech substances into the human body, linking us to a two-way central information source through electromagnetic means, to the point where our creativity can be circumvented at a soul level. So in order to circumvent this futuristic coming horror, we have to covet our creativity like there is no tomorrow, because there will be no tomorrow for humanity as we know it if these plans for humanity are allowed to go forward on a worldwide scale. So it's a relatively simple fix. You know, if you take the time that you usually use each day to zone out and utilize that time toward creativity, you'll begin to see the positive changes which makes your everyday life. It'll just turn your life around in a more creative way, obviously. And just devoting a half hour a day to studying the basics of art will begin to rouse those creative neurons, spark your imagination seeds into growth, and lift you out of a mundane mindset into the realm of possibilities. The purpose of the daily exercise is not to become a famous artist, but to enhance your existence overall. From cooking to gardening and beyond, everything you do can now hold the artistic skills that you've learned from the critical thinking that you've been applying to your art. Our ability to think critically is intrinsically linked to our survival as a species. Are you beginning to see why art is so important now? Creating art enhances observation, perception, and intuition during the process of creating. By default, it just happens naturally. You start by noticing the obvious improvements you can make to your art and progress from there. Too much red in the top right corner of the canvas leads the viewer's eye off the cliff edge of the painting composition, just as too much heat can burn the food you are cooking. See how it works together? Planting vegetables near a black walnut tree will not yield a good crop as the soil is depleted by the toxins from the tree. So you suddenly have a bigger awareness. You suddenly see the tree. You ask its name. You feel its presence in relation to the vegetable patch. Instead of seeing a blur of clustered houses, now you're going to see how the light falls upon the houses and the shapes and the colors that stand out. And the examples of applying your artistic creativity to real life are endless. So as humanity moves away from service to self, very important, towards service to others, learning to solve visually aesthetic problems can morph into the ability to solve the problems of our world around us. When we step outside our doorstep and see homeless people lying all about the street, we'd be more apt to look toward a solution rather than to choose not to see the problem, just block it out. In other words, art has literally taught us to see the bigger picture. In a world where children are force-fed from a virtual cyber intravenous drip, we can begin to see how creativity malnourished each generation successively. And it's just getting worse and worse. And the overall move away from the organic in favor of the synthetic is not boding well for humanity's future. So just be aware of that. Anyone who has become lost in time while creating connects to source and the wisdom of the cosmos as their mind naturally opens as they create. So I hope I've given you enough reasons to begin studying the basics of art and the life-enhancing benefits it will yield for you. So please consider getting my book Splat to start you off on your journey, for this is why I wrote it. So look down below and I'll leave a link. So I'd like to say thank you so much for listening to this video. Please share, like, subscribe, maybe a few comments. That would be nice. And get this word out there, because art is dying in our society. It's directly connected to our creativity, and we need to promote that toward positive human evolution. Thank you for understanding the importance of this video. Bye for now. See you soon.